Hello, hello. I'm gonna have CEFALY joining me in a few minutes, the makers of this little migraine machine that I have. Oh, there they are. Hey, hey.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Hi, how are you? How you feeling?
I'm okay. I just got done traveling. We were visiting my brother, so I definitely am just in migraine central the last couple days from all of that, but I'm feeling good now.
Traveling with migraine can be quite challenging.
I couldn't do it before I had this. I mean, I posted a video on that the other day because I was like, I've missed all of my brothers. He's in the Air Force. I've missed all of his milestone ceremonies because I was always just too sick to travel. And this time I was like, oh my God, wait, I think I can actually do this.
I'm so happy for you, and I'm glad that Safely empowered you to do
Yeah.
that too. Um, I'm really happy to hear that. But yeah, I saw your little doggy walking around.
Yeah, I actually have another dog here too right now. My cousin's dog is over because their house is under construction.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I got both. I got two dogs now.
Easy then. Well, at least they keep each other company.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh,
Anyways, thank you so much for having us in your on your TikTok page today.
I'm
We
happy to
are
do this.
so honored, and hopefully some people from your community and from our community as well can learn something new about cephaly or about migraine and POTS, and we are also speaking about alert dogs today.
Yes.
So yeah,
I'm giving the dogs a treat.
oh, that's a good idea.
Go out.
Aw,
Now they're off to their. She's in her bed. And she'll lay somewhere.
so cute.
Someone asked, "Will this help with heat headaches? I can't handle the heat this time of year."
Well, Crystal, Cephaly is indicated for migraine, but we do have customers that use it for different things. We recommend speaking to your doctor about it. If you want to give it a try, we offer a 90-day satisfaction guarantee. So, yeah, give it a try and let us know if it works for you.
That's my favorite thing to tell people. I'm like, well, there's a 90-day money back guarantee. So if it doesn't work, it's fine. Although I personally haven't found anyone that it hasn't worked for. Um, yeah, I was like, maybe it happens, but not anyone that I've spoken to. And also with the heat headaches, I used to think that mine were just related to heat until I started learning more about barometric pressure, and then I found out that it was actually barometric pressure related migraines. And although that goes hand in hand with the heat, it's technically different. But yeah, the summer, basically the changes in season are really bad for me. But right now this this heat is killing me, which is why I have this on. And honestly, within minutes of putting it on, I feel so much better.
You feel relieved. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, definitely understanding your triggers might help your migraine
Yeah.
experience as well because you can prevent it. You can, prepare somehow. Of course, sometimes it's not always possible to prevent, or it's not always possible to be on the lookout
Yeah.
for triggers or anything. But understanding what usually causes or triggers these migraine attacks is usually helpful.
Mhm.
Do you use the CC app?
I do. I do.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm gonna get my pin tattooed on me.
oh yes, I saw your comment. That was so funny.
I love the app. I think it's so helpful, and it's funny. I think I've mentioned it in videos before too, but my sister specifically will use this a lot. So she has her own electrodes and I have mine, and we'll just trade off on
That's
using
so
it.
cool.
And so when we're in the app, like it's nice to see like I mean it thinks we're the same person, understandably, but like her and I can then differentiate between like whose was whose because we both do it at like different intensities from each
Yeah.
other and then we kind of like compare and I'm like, "Oh, I got to this percentage." And she's like, "Oh, I'm on this percentage." And I'm like,
I
"This is
love
really
that.
interesting."
That's so fun. Well, stay tuned. Can't say much, but
New
just
updates.
just keep watching what we post.
I can't wait. You know I will. Got like alerts on your post.
Yes, that's a good idea actually. But yeah, I'd like to thank you for having us today, and I would like to thank all the people that have joined, that joined today, and also I know we will repost this one. So
Yeah.
if you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube. And yeah, my first question is, you were mentioning the fact that the heat is like a very is a big trigger for you,
Mhm.
like it's part of your migraine experience. And when you and I we were kind of chatting about your migraine experience and other symptoms, you were mentioning that you also suffer with POTS.
Yes.
So my question is, what is your personal journey with migraine and POTS like? How did you realize you were dealing with these conditions?
So it's interesting. A lot of the beginning of my journey was a lot of like gaslighting, both myself and from the doctors. So my issues started with my stomach. This was about 6 years ago. It was around my 25th birthday. I'm 31 now. But I got like a stomach virus. So did like some of my friends. Everyone got better from it. And then I just kept getting worse, which they say like things like that can be triggered from like a viral infection. So that was kind of my case. And then my stomach got so bad that I was like really malnourished. I ended up getting like a feeding tube. But during that time, I was like passing out all the time. And the doctors were like, no, it's because of the malnourishment. Like, once you get a feeding tube, like, this will be better, blah, blah, blah. So then we get the feeding tube, and then I'm definitely like more nourished and stuff, but I'm still passing out. And I'm like, I start researching it, and I'm like, I think I have this thing called POTS. And they were like, no, you don't. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you don't have that. And I was like, yes, I do. Like, I think I have this. And so it was like about a year of going back and forth with my doctors. And then I found a different, like, specialist who specializes in POTS. And they were like, oh, you absolutely have this. And I was like, oh, great. And then that's when I started talking about, like, how I was getting, like, well, I just kept calling them, like, intense headaches. Cause at the time, I didn't really understand the difference between, like, what a migraine was and what a headache was. So I was just like, yeah, like my head just hurts, like all this stuff. And still at the beginning, some of it was being chalked up to like the malnourishment and things like that. But then once we got that stuff under control, it was like so much clearer that I was dealing with these other issues as well. And then the migraine, like as the years went on, just like kept getting worse. And so then I was like on a lot of medications for both like the POTS and the migraine and the stomach stuff. I was like a personal pharmacy. But like the migraine meds were the ones that like weren't really working for me. So like the POTS medications would give me like some relief, not enough to like, live a normal life, but like I could take medication and be fine for like 45 minutes so I could like run to the grocery store or something and like know that I could get like a task done. But the migraine meds were just like not working for me. And then I started seeing like migraine like neurologists through Jefferson who started really helping me, and we started trialing different medications. But there were certain medications that they couldn't put me on because of my stomach issues. They said it would make them worse and things like that. And then some things I just had really bad reactions to, which I know some of them work great for other people, but like Topamax for one was something that just like did not work for me well. But I know it works great for other people, so like, to each their own. Um, and so I was just kind of like failing all of these medications and I was getting really, really frustrated. And then I started seeing videos about CEFALY, and then I was like, I think I need to try this. And I talked to my doctor about it, and they were like, yeah, like go for it. We've heard good things about it. At the time, they weren't like they knew about like neuromodulation devices because that's their field, but they weren't like, telling people to get them or anything like that. Now they do. I think they're a lot more into that because they even ask me when I go, they're like, "How is it still going well?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great. Like I love it." Um, so yeah, then I started using this, and now I really just get the Botox and have this, and I'm not on any of the migraine meds anymore. Like I have the rescue meds like prescribed to me, but I think I've taken them like once since I've started using this.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you
It was
don't use as
long-winded.
many. No, absolutely. That's your story. That's your
Yeah.
platform. We want you to share. And also, I love to hear that you're not using as many medication as you used to because, that's a big relief.
Yeah.
Medications, like, of course, they help you feel better, but sometimes, the side effects.
The side effects are out of control, and then like needing to be on so many for like different issues, like there's certain like stomach ones that I can't come off of
Yeah.
at least not anytime in the near future. So I was like, okay, how do I take like less medications overall if I can't get rid of some of these core ones? Like how do I get rid of the other ones? And then my husband and I, once we got married, we started, looking into fertility stuff because I have endometriosis and I had had surgery for that. So they were like talking about like, oh, you should like get your fertility checked and all that stuff. And then it ended up coming back not so great. And so as we were looking at all that stuff, they're like, oh, but when you do get pregnant, you're not going to be able to take X, Y, and Z meds. And
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? Like, what am I going to do? And they're like, well, just like start looking into like other options, but no one could really give me options. They were just sort of like, go explore and try to figure it out. And I'm like, okay. So I mean, I have everything in this house. I have ice caps, I have different creams and essential oils and just, all of the things that you could try to use for migraine. I have them. And then I got this, and I mean, I still use the other things from time to time, mostly like the ice caps, I'd say, are my other go-to, but this is my first line of defense.
And you
Oh,
can use them both, like the
yeah,
beauty about the migraine toolkit is that you can mix and match. You can
exactly.
use one thing and then you pass to the other one. Like it's really up to what your personal journey
Yeah.
is and what works for you. I feel like this is one of the reasons why we implemented the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. It's
Mhm.
because, we have to accept the fact that some people might have a great experience, which thankfully is the majority,
Yeah.
but also like the migraine experience is so unique to each individual that you don't want to get stuck with something that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
then like some people, I mean, I know like my sister doesn't have migraine like as often as I do. So like for her, they might happen like a few times a month, whereas mine's like most days of the week. But
Oh no,
so like for her, I mean, I was keeping it no matter what because it's mine. But if she was the customer, I'm like, oh, like who knows how long it would have taken you to get a migraine before you would have had a real chance to like try it.
for sure, especially if you do the preventative treatment.
Hmm.
Most customer, that's where they saw the big difference because if you use it like every day for just 20 minutes, it's not a long time, just 20 minutes a day, it actually improves your migraine days. Like it cuts the numbers of your migraine days. So,
Yeah.
and not
I am
only,
noticing a difference. I'm just like hesitant to say too much because I am still getting the Botox too that I'm like, I don't want to like say one thing or the other because I definitely think it's a combination of the two.
Mhm.
But no, I definitely think I'm seeing a difference in using like the preventative as well.
Love to hear that. You already briefly talked about this,
Mhm.
but what can you share about how you manage migraine and POTS? What are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
So some of the like big changes that I've made that have made a huge difference are like elevating my bed. I used to just have it like with like books and stuff, like elevating the top of my bed. But now I do it with I got like a new bed that's like adjustable, so that
Mhm.
really helps with the pots. And I've noticed that like the more I'm keeping my POTS under control, like sometimes my migraine symptoms aren't as intense. So a lot of like electrolytes, like Drip Drop and potassium are like my two favorite electrolytes. I'm like always drinking them or taking the little salt tablets. Because just like standing up too fast at all, hold on, this dog wants to go out. But like standing up too fast, which I'm not gonna do now, I was slow. But that like really gets me. Anything like in the heat is a problem. You don't want to go out? Okay, only one wants to go out. Um, Sorry, I don't want to lose my train of thought. But I'm trying to think what else I do. My electrolytes, my bed. Like my POTS used to be much worse than it is now because now I'm on finally like a good mix of medications. But before, like I used to have like a cane and like a rollator and things to like support me when I was walking, which like made a huge difference to me at the time. Now again with like the right mix of medication and electrolytes, I still own them. Like they're still in my house, but they're definitely not like a thing that I use daily. Um, Same with like compression socks. Like I used to use those a lot. Now I use them not so much in the summer, even though I should be, just because it's too hot. Like it's just so hot to put them on
Yes,
all the time. I'm like, I can't do it. Excuse me. You already had a bone. Come
it's
lay
not.
down. She's like, I want more. She's like, I know you're on the phone.
Well, you were mentioning at some point in your life you had the chance to try the Cephaly device. What was your experience overall? How did you discover Cephaly?
I I was amazed. So first, I saw it on TikTok is how I learned about it. I saw other people posting about it. I think it was like who are the two people? Migraine Babe and the Migraine Nurse were the two people
Mm-hmm.
who I saw talking about it the most. And in my head, of course, I was like, with all people, not them specifically, but I was like, oh, but like my migraines are like really bad. Like, is this really gonna help me? And then I saw people like them talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I know that they have like what I, consider like a more severe form of migraine. Then I'm like, okay, if it works for them, like I need to try this. But still, it was after watching like lots of videos before I was actually like, okay, this is something I need to try because it is an investment. But I tell people, I'm like, this is like the best investment you could make for yourself. Like I'd pay it like a million times over to get this type of relief. But yeah, it was from like watching other people's videos, and which is why I try to post so much about them. And I'm like, people might think I'm annoying, but like this thing changed my life, and if I can convince even one person to try it and make a difference in their life, like that makes me happy.
That connects me to my next question, which is about awareness.
Yes.
Why do you think it's important to raise awareness about migraine and POTS? And how can others support those who are affected?
Yeah, I think both migraine and POTS are so like misunderstood. And like even myself, like I was saying, like I didn't understand the difference between migraine and headaches like for the longest time. And like I knew my sister got migraines, but she also like had concussions and stuff. So her like auras are very different than mine. That I was like, oh, like that's what a migraine is, and I don't have that. So like therefore I don't have migraine. I just have a headache, which was not the case at all. And same with POTS. Like I was passing out a lot, but at the beginning again, I thought it was from like malnourishment and things like that. But I think people think that like you always have to be passing out and like that's all that POTS is, when really there's people with POTS who have never passed out at all in their life, or like maybe have a few times, and it doesn't mean that they don't have like a severe case of POTS. Like you can have like so many symptoms and still be having it. And I think that's why it's like so important to talk about it and like share our experiences, because then there's going to be like someone that relates to your symptoms and then hopefully, stops gaslighting themselves to be like, wait, that's what I deal with. Like maybe I do have that. And, maybe I should get some help for that. And I just think like the awareness of like understanding them is so important, and then knowing that there's options because I mean, I kind of touched on it. Like, I didn't know that things like this existed at first. I thought it was only medications, and I think I've made it clear I'm not against medications at all, but I know that there are people who are like my grandfather has really bad migraine and he will not take anything for them. Like, he's just like medications just are not for him. And I'm like, well, why don't you try this? I finally convinced him the other day. He said he's gonna call me next time he gets a migraine so that I can bring this over so he can try it because he's
Oh,
really like getting on board with it. Um,
you're gonna have your little med spa
yeah,
soon
I
with
know, right?
everybody trying the Cephally device.
Yeah, like people are like, oh, like when people are like, oh, are you an influencer? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, but I'm like just trying to be an influencer with my own family at this point. like, like I'm just trying to get them the help. But yeah, I just think like talking about it and understanding it is going to help so many people. And that's why I try to share my journey because it's because of other people sharing their journey that I learned so much more and got help. So now like I want to help do that for other people.
Love that. The community and the importance of finding a community is crucial, especially since, when we talk to you guys, when we talk to our customers, we understand how lonely the migraine experience can be, and
Absolutely.
finding somebody that can be like a Facebook group, can be somebody like you, somebody like, another influencer, is it really makes a difference because number one, you don't feel like you're alone in your journey. And then that makes me think, well, we went to this event called Retreat Migraine last
Mhm.
year, and the majority of the members, they all met online on social media, which was amazing because you truly find people that, they have a common experience, which is negative, like in this case, but um, you can find a friend, and
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
I've
Um,
found friends through TikTok.
So many. I
Yeah.
well, I'm a millennial, so I believe in friendships
Me
on
too.
social media. So, but since your doggies were barking,
Yes.
I have a question about, well, maybe more than one question about your doggies.
Yeah.
Well, that one is yours. The other one is your mom's, right?
Oh, it's my cousin's dog. Yeah.
Your cousin's. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. So, is she your alert dog?
Yes. So she is my alert dog. This is Gemma.
Oh.
A little out of breath. She was running around. But yeah, so Gemma is my alert dog. When I first got her, I planned on her being my service dog, but I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to alert. So I had like other tasks planned for her, like going to get help, getting my medications, especially like it was just related to my POTS at first. Like that was my goal with her was like if I'm passing out, like I need her to be able to like get help if I hurt myself or get medications or something if I'm stuck on the ground. It was like my goal for her. But I got her at 9 weeks old, and a few weeks after having her, she would start like barking and like howling at me, and I just like didn't understand what was going on. And then shortly after, I would like pass out, and then I started like being like, oh my God, I think she's picking up on this on her own. And so then I started talking to like some trainers, and I was like, I had security cameras in my house. So like then I was like pulling the footage and being like, this is what's happening. And people were like, oh yeah, she's definitely like figuring something out. And then I worked with some trainers just to like kind of learn, how to do it and things like that. But most of her training, like I did it at home. I just like learned from people, and then we worked on that and just really tried to like harness it to make it more specific and like have her like paw at me instead of just like barking and running around and like you know she was trying to do everything she could to tell me, but I then gave her a way to tell me properly, um which made things a lot better, and now it doesn't happen as much, but when it does she's still like on top of it.
I love that. That makes a huge difference.
It really does.
We do have people in our community that always ask us, like, how do you train a service dog? How do you train an alert dog? What's your recommendation for that?
So for us, with POTS, and I think it might be the same for migraine, they recommend using like sweat samples, which people always freak out when I say that, and they're like, I don't sweat enough. And it's not about like your actual sweat. Like it's not about like liquid coming out of your body. It's about like your sweat glands. So like you have some on your neck and in your armpits and on your wrists and on other parts of your body. And so when I would have an episode, like if I were to pass out, I would take like cotton pads and rub them on my sweat glands, and then I would like freeze those samples. And then when I was having like a non-symptomatic day, we would like train and I would defrost those scent samples. And there's so many ways to like start it. Like there's like beginning steps. I actually have like some videos on it. I'd have to figure out where they are, but I do have some videos on it. I don't know if they're on YouTube or what, but like beginning steps of how of like getting them to sniff it and like alert on it, and then you like move up from there once they've like captured that initial scent and know what they're looking for, and then you can start doing different activities like hiding it around the room and helping them find it. And then eventually you work your way up to doing what they call double blinds. So I would have different containers, and one of them would have the scent sample in it, and the other ones would maybe have like my normal scent, like not in an episode, or my dad's scent, like someone else's scent, and one would just be like blank and have nothing in it. And then I wouldn't know which tube I had either, so that I couldn't like, mess with it at all. And then we would do these experiments where like I would be, just like laying on the couch and would open a tube, and then we would see how long it would get her to notice it and alert on it, or potentially not alert if it was, a blank one or something else. And then at the end of the 10 minutes or however long we would do the exercise for, then I would get to see like, okay, was this the right sample? Like, did she alert on it? Did she alert on a blank one? And those she did really, really well at. Those I have videos of on my YouTube. Um, and after we got through that, I was like, she's good to go. Like, I'm not doing things to prompt her doing it. Whereas sometimes, like, with POTS, for example, people will, if they're starting to feel symptomatic, will like start checking, say, like an Apple Watch or something. And then the dog could take that as a signal, like, oh, they usually pass out after they look at their watch. So then they start alerting to the fact that you're looking at your watch rather than actually alerting on the smell that they're supposed to be finding. Um,
Interesting.
so we try to like avoid things like that, like false prompting, which the double blinds like really help with.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure this is going to be a huge resource for people that, even are watching this video after a few weeks, because we did have a lot of customers interested in the migraine community to have a service dog. And yes, it works by, dogs feel your scent. They can smell your
Mhm.
scent and the change of scent, and that's how they know that you are going to have a migraine attack. So you're
Exactly.
able to take your preventative treatment, which is amazing.
I know with people who have like migraine, like every day, for example, like it can be more difficult because it's like if you're just always in that like smell, it's like
Mhm.
then they're just always going to be alerting on you. But I think for people who get them like less frequently too, it can be such a game changer for them because then it's like very distinct
Yes.
of like you didn't have the smell for a couple days and now you're starting to have the smell.
Interesting, interesting. So, my last question, since we're almost at the end of our live, my last question is, um, what are your future goals and plans, both personally as an influencer, raising awareness for both migraine and POTS?
Um, Honestly, like being able to like make videos on TikTok and like start to make some money from it has been such a game changer in my life because my background is in marketing. It's what I went to school for, and then I was working full time before I got sick. And then I tried to work like multiple times through being sick, and it just like never really worked out. Like even if I was good for a couple weeks and then I was like back in the hospital or something like that. So I'm really trying to like cultivate like being able to do this because I think it is such a great job for someone in my position who isn't able to like work a typical 9 to 5. Being able to like do this is like just like kind of life saving in a way. And I am still on disability right now, which I'm hoping to get off of. Which, of course, I'd love free money forever, but like I would really like to get to the point where like I don't need to rely on that and could be making money from, TikTok and, other social media outlets. But my like overall goal is really just to keep helping people, and I want everyone to be like doing the things that I'm doing. I'm like, I had to work so hard and like go through all of these things, and it sucked. Like it was a really crappy journey, and I'm like, let me help you make your journey not so bad. Like, let me help you speed it up a little bit. Like,
I love that. So in the list, there's the Cephally device, the barometers, and then the ice cap, an alert dog,
yes, the electrolytes.
the electrolytes. Well, oh, she's so cute. That gives you kisses.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Everyone doesn't need to see that. She's like,
You look like teddy bears.
yeah, she is my little teddy bear.
Well, thank you so much for having us today. It was
Okay.
so amazing to get to learn more about you, to simply know your journey, your experience, and I'm sure that the people that watched us today, that were watching us today, they loved all the things that you shared. And if you guys have any questions about the Cephally device, don't hesitate to contact us. Even Juliana, she knows everything about
Yes.
Cephally, so you can reach out to her as well. And thank you so much again.
Thank you for doing this. And yeah, and if people have alert dog questions or any other questions too, my DMs are always open. It sometimes takes me a little bit to get through them and like get back to people, but I really try to like work through them all. So feel free to reach out with any questions.
Thanks so much. Have a good day then.
You too. Bye. Bye.